4, 6 multiplying fractions. I'm kind of excited and a little nervous too. I might make some mistakes, so bear with me. Today what we're going to learn is to multiply fractions and mixed numbers. It's really easy, you guys are going to pick this up. So if we look at our key concepts, we're going to multiply fractions. In order to multiply them, you need to multiply the numerators and then multiply the denominators. Here's some helpful tips to consider before multiplying fractions and mixed numbers. Turn all whole numbers and or mixed numbers into improper fractions. Then you just multiply straight across and then simplify. So let's do an example. Our first example is 1/2 times 1/3. Well, the first thing that we do is we multiply 1 by 1 on the top and 2 by 3 on the bottom. 1 times 1 is 1. 2 times 3 is 6. Now, that's in lowest terms because we know that when we have a 1, we're done. Let's look at example 2. I'm going to give you a minute to try and solve this one. Pause the video if you need to. Okay, so let's solve this one. We have 1/8 times 1/9. Remember, we multiply the numerators. 1 times 1 on the top, 8 times 9 on the bottom. So we have 1 on the top and 72 on the bottom. How many of you got that correct? Yay! Let's move on to example 3. In example 3, we have a whole number and a negative number. So if you remember correctly, the way that we take a whole number and we make it a fraction is we just write the whole number, 2, over 1. Now we're going to times that by -3/4. Once again, we have 2 times -3 on the top and 1 times 4 on the bottom. 2 times -3 is -6. Don't forget your integer rules. And 1 times 4 is 4. Now, we notice that that's an improper fraction and we can also reduce it. So, I like to reduce first and then change to an improper fraction. It doesn't matter to me which way you do it as long as you do it. So I know that I can divide by 2. -6 divided by 2 is -3 on the top. 4 divided by 2 is 2. So now in order to change that to a mixed number, I divide. I put my -3 on the inside and my 2 on the outside. 2 goes into -3, -1 time. What's left over? 1/2. Simple. Now, let's go on to example 4. Pause the video and try and solve example 4 on your own. Ready? So, once again, we take our 6, put it over 1, times it by -1 on the top and 3 on the bottom. Multiplying across, 6 times -1 is -6. 1 times 3 is 3. We have an improper fraction. I can reduce, or I can change it to a mixed number or a whole number. Looking at this, I notice -6 can be divided equally by 3. So I can say -6 divided by 3 is going to be -2. That's my final answer. Let's look at example 5. In example 5, if I multiply 2/7 by -3/8, once again, 2 times -3 on the top, 7 times 8 on the bottom. 2 times -3 is -6. 7 times 8 is 56. Now, is that in lowest terms? What can I divide by? Well, looking at it, I know for sure I can divide by 2, right? Or, is there a bigger number that I can divide by? Let's divide by by 2. I get negative 3 on the top. And 56 divided by 2 is 28. Can I divide 28 by 3? I don't think so, so we know that we're done. Moving on to example 6. Try example 6 on your own. Okay, let's try that again. So on the top we have 3 times negative 4, 12 times 5. 3 times negative 4 is negative 12. 12 times 5 is 60. I can reduce. Well, if I find that least common multiple, I know that the biggest number that I can divide by is 12. So I get negative 1 on the top and 5 on the bottom, and that's my final answer. Hope you're doing well. Let's look at example 7. We've got 1/2 times 4 and 2/5. Well, here I have an improper fraction. So I have to change that improper fraction, or that mixed number, to an improper fraction. Sorry about that. We have 1/2 times, and in order to change this to an improper fraction, I multiply 4 times 5, which is 20, plus 2, which is 22 over 5. Now I can just multiply across. 22 times 1 is 22. 2 times 5 is 10. I can divide by 2, and I get 11 on the top and 5 on the bottom. That's an improper fraction. I can change it to a mixed number by dividing 11 by 5. 5 goes into 11 2 times. That's 10. Subtract. My final answer is 2 1/5. How we doing? Let's look at example 8. Try it on your own. Pause the video if you need to. Okay, so let's try that one. So we have 1/3 times, I've got to change this, so I go 7 times 6 is 42, plus 6 is 48 over 7. Multiply across, I get 48 on the top and 21 on the bottom. Well, I look at that and I know that they both have a 3 in common, so I'm going to divide by 3, and I get 16 on the top and 7 on the bottom. That's an improper fraction, so I'm going to divide. 7 goes into 16 2 times. There's 2 left over, so my answer is 2 2/7. And there you have it. Now, I want you to try these problems on the next slide on your own and bring them to class tomorrow. See you then.